Welcome back to another episode of Light Between Us. This is a podcast with no rules, no expectations, and absolutely no boundaries. It just is. These are unscripted conversations with those I have real relationships with. This is not an interview or an informational podcast, but a podcast of witness to the living example of healing through relation 2x2. This podcast is a space for us to meet fully in the present and to allow the miracles, the love, and the light to shine through. A reminder, we do not wake up alone. We remember the truth together, 2x2, as the light reveals itself in the space between us. I am so excited to have a dear friend, Ty, have a conversation today. So Ty and I met almost a decade ago at a Rise Business Conference with Rachel Hollis and Dave Hollis and many other amazing presenters. And we were waiting in line for a photo with Dave. Well, not really in line. I think we spotted him. We were there early and the two of us went down and there was one other woman ahead of us. And I took the picture of Ty and Dave and she took the picture of me and Dave and we just hit it off. And she is a firecracker. She is filled with so much love and life and light. And in this episode, no bars. We just share it all. We just go deep. We follow wherever we are led and just really allow ourselves to be spoken through, to connect, I don't know. It was an absolutely beautiful conversation and I do not believe this will be the last. I am hopeful that we will have more to come and not much more I can say about it because it's just so amazing. You need to listen to it yourself. And I promise if you feel prickled or excitement or anything, you are exactly where you are meant to be. And everything you are feeling is exactly what is meant to be felt. So here is your invitation to allow the love, the light, and the miracles to fully be received in listening to this conversation with Ty. As always, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and here you go. Much love. Hey! All right, here we are. I'm so excited to have Ty. We were supposed to record last week. Things didn't align, but today here we are. And I was just about to fill Ty in on kind of what this podcast really is and the background behind it. And then I was like, maybe I should just record it because if you have questions or whatever, I've never live told it to somebody. So Light Between Us sparked essentially my love for conversations with people. And in that love, I realized that when you just remove all agendas, you can just go in some of the most magical, beautiful places. So Light Between Us was sparked as this space to really be a living example of what, is talked about in the Bible and A Course in Miracles and many different unwinding techniques or religion of we return home 2x2. And so this is a space that hopefully we can have a conversation that spirit flows through and the words and whatever comes up. And so then whoever listens in, or maybe it's just for you and I, whatever it is, I just trust that it will be guided and it's been so magical.
This funny thing happens when you start looking for that stuff to happen. You see more of it.
Yeah.
So, the magic makes sense. And what a cool platform and what a cool show. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. And, I love that you said that because it's the quote it's Einstein's quote of either everything's a miracle or nothing's a miracle. And so it's like what you're saying. It's like the magic is always here or the miracles or whatever. It's just our awareness is not there. We are in the ego, what I call the ego, this place of fear so much that we see fear, what you seek is what you will find. So I love that.
Ashley, what's the yellow jacket behind you?
Oh, my yellow jacket. So funny story. We started thrifting here in Spokane. We've been traveling the world for a while. And I love thrifting and felt inspired. And a friend's like, open an Etsy shop. So whatever, we opened an Etsy shop. And this amazing, it's called a butler stand, is actually like for sale in our shop. And then I thrifted this for $10. It's like a Betty. So it's from like the 60s. It's yellow velvet and it's amazing. And it's like my happy, fun, I love it coat. And
It's
so
adorable.
yeah, and it's so funny. Like, this is not the backdrop I would like maybe usually have, but this is exactly where it fits in our space. We have
Yeah.
a tiny Airbnb, so it just is.
It works. It works.
Yeah.
And it's yellow. And yellow is a color that we have connected about because yellow is my yellow brick road, which you know all about, but I don't know if our friends know about it. But I don't, that's a long story. I don't know if we are going there yet.
I mean, whatever you feel. I mean, the yellow brick road, I've talked about it a lot as well, like just the theory that it's already late. And I think I used it as a response. You're like, I'm so sorry we had to reschedule. And I was like, man, the path is already laid. We just have to surrender to it. And that's the yellow brick road.
And that's so hard sometimes. Like I'm in that season where it's very hard right now because I fully have like surrendered all of it because I trust that God has a plan. And the yellow brick road is an analogy. I know that Ashley, you know this, but for our new friends, it's an analogy that I've used my whole life. Like I've been talking about my yellow brick road since I was little through, being a mom and being a wife. And more recently in the last, honestly, year or two, have I actually been like, oh, it's real. Like I kind of talked about it. Like I almost like talked it into believing it.
Like abstract.
Yeah, like it was this like thing, but the God's laying the bricks, and every so often it like the brick will fall from under me, or I won't know what brick is coming next. But the point is, we keep moving anyway, and we keep trusting anyway, and it's been met with good and bad. So, but we find ways to learn and grow in the bad, and that's what I've found to be, the most challenging, but also the most rewarding part of all of it is figuring out how to turn some of those negative situations or like moments of challenge into something that's happening for us rather than to us. So the Yellow Brick Road is really cool. I don't know if you can see it in the frame, but I have a Lego it's a Lego set that has the Wicked and Yellow Brick Road and a rainbow. And
Love it.
fun story, like I don't know when this is going to go live, but fun story that I just contributed a chapter to a book called Corporately Canceled, which is coming out in August. And the chapter is a follow-up to my chapter in Triumphs of Transformation, which was a best-selling compilation book with a bunch of amazing humans. And that chapter that I wrote in that book was called Becoming the Storm. So the follow-up chapter that actually kind of like really much picks up where that one left off is the storm that follows the rain, or the rainbow that follows the storm. Sorry. The rainbow that follows the storm. And, rainbows and butterflies have always been, a kind of a cliche for people like, oh, life isn't always rainbows and butterflies. But what we're saying is it can be if you just keep your eyes open and watch for the things that are already there. I think so many of us get so distracted with, just the way of the world and how, we have so much going on and we have our screens and we have all the things and we forget to notice. Like I complimented my son the other day because he said, he's like, Mom, look at the sunset. And I was like, buddy, please don't stop. Please never stop that because, I want my kids to take, various things from me. Of course, you want your kids to learn and grow, in a certain way, but mine, I really do want them to always keep that magic and keep looking for their little signs along their little yellow brick roads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so beautiful. And I think a key thing is that there is no bad. Like, bad is a story we've told ourselves. And I think my belief, at least, is that God never creates anything for us to suffer. He doesn't want us to. He wants us to see that these are all our creations that are made up from stories. And because that's why something can be bad for you, but good for me, is because it's just a story we're telling ourselves. And so, like, earlier I mentioned, how like the Bible and, A Course in Miracles mentioned 2x2. If we look at the true yellow brick road at the Wizard of Oz, like literally she has these mighty companions that come forward that help her to shift her perspective about something that, was holding her hostage, let's say, in this world, that there is bad and good. I mean, literally, I believe everything is always a miracle. And if something's a miracle, it's positive, right? It's like, it's joyous and not joyous. I know your roller coasters are so great. I love it. And I use the roller coaster analogy a lot because we're so stuck on the duality roller coaster in this world. So we're constantly seeking the high highs. And then if that's what you're wanting to experience is the highs, you will experience the lows. I promise you. But like where Buddha and, Gandhi and Mother Teresa and Jesus found was the middle ground, which is truth, which is like the duality doesn't truly exist other than in your stories.
Yeah.
So it's like this place of joy and peace is really at that space that you're talking of surrender. So like you talked about and this is just an invitation, Ty, but no brick ever falls off your yellow brick road. That's your perception.
Right.
Like it is, like if we truly believe that there is divine out there, God, Jesus, Buddha, whoever you want to call it, that is laying a path for you, they don't lay fucked up paths. No. They don't lay paths that bricks fall out of. Right. Like,
it just feels that way sometimes.
Yes.
Which is why,
100%.
Which is absolutely why I'm glad you brought up the roller coasters, because that's why, I didn't ever do a roller coaster in my entire life. I was too afraid until I was 37 and at Dollywood and with my kids. And I wanted them. I know Dollywood. We need to go back. We just went that one time and we were new to roller coasters then. So I think we only did one or two. But anyway, we did Thunderhead and it nearly killed me. But I did it because they really wanted to go. And my husband has an inner ear issue that won't let him go. So I was like, well, I'll step up and do this thing. And I hated it. Like I was miserable. I was scared and the thing is I'm still scared. I've now done probably close to 60 roller coasters and I've done some of them. I had the unique opportunity to be in a commercial for the Wrath of Rakshasa at Six Flags Great America, which is amazing. It's a world record breaking dive coaster. And I did that one 20 times in one day, which I would not recommend. But there's this thing that has happened now with my brain chemistry where, those twists and turns and ups and downs does feel a lot like life. Like even when, like you're right, those bricks aren't falling out from under you, but it can feel that way. Mm-hmm. And how I used to cope with that wasn't good. I used to cope with life happening as it's meant to and feeling hard in a way that numbed. But what I realized, we connected through Rise and Rachel and Dave Hollis. And, Dave used to say that when you numb the good, or when you numb the bad, you numb the good too. And since I've been sober for a while, it's so true. But the roller coasters have helped me understand and process things a lot, almost like practice, right? Like you just practice taking those hits and taking those turns and not knowing what's coming, because we don't. That's kind of your point, is that we don't know. We don't have any, real control to some extent. I mean, there are things that we do control. Obviously, we have free will, but there's things that are kind of destined for us to happen, and that's good. That we perceive them as good or bad. But I've had, I'd say, an above average number of bad things happen, and I didn't cope well. But this whole roller coaster thing has helped me kind of lean in and understand that most things are temporary. You wait in a roller coaster line for 3 hours to ride a minute and 30-second ride. It's temporary. And it's fun now, by the way. I feel like I should say that. I hated Thunderhead. I thought I was going to die. I didn't really particularly enjoy Raging Bull the first time I did that coaster, and it's now my most favorite coaster. So, but it's all about perspective and understanding that the things we can't control don't have to they don't have to control us, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of gave you a look when you talked about free will, and this is something that boggles a lot of people, and it's just one of those things that you just kind of sit on and you start to pay attention to. But I truly don't believe we have free will at the level of form. So what do I mean? Free will at the level of deciding what brick comes next in our brick road, meaning what we do, like how our body responds. But our free will is our perception. Our free will is how we perceive the bricks being laid in the yellow brick road. Like, that is what we truly have control over and only have control over. And like, again, anyone listening in, I know this is one of those things that like activates your ego for sure. And immediately, like, because we've been so trained, especially in personal development, there's a reason why it's a billion-dollar industry, is because personal development is developing the person, an individual, which yes, is beautiful to a certain extent, but then it's like, what's next? And that's where then spiritual development comes in the remember that we're not individuals. We're truly connected as one. Yes, we're experiencing this singular body, but I think the majority of people who even believe that can agree that we are connected. That like somehow our spirit, your soul, whatever it is connected. And so I just invite people to start paying attention, because it's like, you think we have this false sense of control, so we're constantly seeking that. And that's like with riding a roller coaster and being scared to death. You don't have control, but it's not something you can even try to create a false sense of control out of, right? You can't like be like, oh, I'm going to sell my car and have enough money to pay rent, or, like, you literally don't know what's coming next. And so you're really forced into this back against the wall surrender moment. Mm-hmm. And an invitation is like, were you ever actually scared of them? Or were you just really fucking excited and your story was messed up?
Probably the second thing, because honestly, I appreciate you saying that, because honestly, my story is there's a lot of different parts of it, but my healing journey and my health has played a huge part in how I've worked through all of this too. But like the thing that has helped me kind of rewire my brain is my workout. It's called Supernatural, and it's a VR headset. So I have like a headset
I've seen
on.
You do it. Yeah.
And then like I'm killing aliens with my lightsabers. It's super fun. But the thing that's helped me figure out, which honest to goodness, I studied psychology. Like I have a master's degree in clinical psychology, and I did not know until a couple years ago that fear and excitement are the same chemical in your brain. Like I didn't know that. And
your body responds the same way. Like it's the same reaction.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is crazy and makes so much sense for so many reasons. But the thing you said about being really excited, I think I was blinded by the fear, maybe, because the fear was real, like, and is real. Like there are times when, like, we were waiting in the line for Millennium Force last year, and that is a 300-foot drop that we were doing in the darkness for the very first time. And I think there's something about the G-forces too. Like I try to have some amount of the knowledge about the coasters in my head because of what I'm trying to build, but I don't know all the statistics about Millennium Force. But it's at Cedar Point, and it's crazy fun. It's amazing. But my son and I were both panicking, like before we were waiting in the line. And I'm fairly seasoned at that point. This was last fall. And like, I recognized the signs, like my physical signs, like my heart was racing, my palms were sweaty. And then it was kind of amplified by the fact that my son, my younger son is the brave one. And my older son, bless his heart, is just a little bit more scared. So he and I were both kind of just like in this, like, we're going to die. Like, it's going to be so scary. And recognizing the excitement in that moment, which honestly, the best illustration that I've seen of that actually was my older son, the one that is more afraid, on a roller coaster called Mako at SeaWorld, which is it's similar to Raging Bull, where it's got a big drop and it's a hyper coaster and it's got a similar layout and it's got a lot of fun hills and stuff. But we were waiting in line to do that for the first time, and the line was short enough that my younger one was like, "Let's go in the front," and I was like, I don't really want to, and Carter didn't really want to either. We ended up waiting for the front, and my younger one was excited and my older one was panicking, and with the whole climb, I think that one that one might have a 300-foot drop too. But the whole climb up, my older son was saying, I'm dying, I'm dying, I'm dying, I'm dying the whole way. And then we got to the top and we started to drop. And he actually went. He's like, no, I'm alive, like the whole way down. And it was just so cool to see in real time how you can flip that switch and, you know, you can feel the very real feelings, but you are in control of your perception of those feelings. And that was cool for me to see him actually demonstrate that skill and being able to flip that switch in very much in real time as we were, you know, crashing to the ground. So
yeah.
it was a cool parenting moment for me. But then also a lesson for me too, because it's not just, I think people see that I'm paying and that I'm doing all this roller coaster stuff, and they're like, "What is she like? She's just really into. She's a theme park junkie now, I guess. I don't know." But it's all part of my research. It's all part of the book that I'm writing, and it's all part of the story that is my life. So I've learned a lot, and being able to, you know, that situation has applied and can apply in like very much on the ground in a regular normal day where you're like, oh, this is so awful. And then you're like, no, wait, like, it's fine. I got it. It's okay. We're okay. It's fine. And, you know, a lot of times what's really cool about what you said about connection and how we're all connected in all of this is, you know, it's usually another human that comes into my realm that reminds me particularly when like things seem like they're not going to be okay. It's usually another human or along the yellow brick road that comes along and God puts in my path for an absolute reason. I don't believe any of us meet by coincidence. I don't believe that anything that happens for us is a coincidence. I think that a lot of the things that happen and the people that we meet all happen for a reason. But I find that it's those people that come into my day when I'm having a hard day or I'm feeling overwhelmed or I'm feeling, you know, dare I say it, but like you're just done, like you're depressed or anxious about things. There's always a light like that comes in, a person who has a light that shares their light and makes it a little less dark. So, yeah.
Well, and it's a reminder of the light within yourself. So I have a friend, Evelina, and we connected a while back and we were having conversations regularly, and she was kind of in a down space. And after we got off the call, she sent me a message. She's like, thank you so much for, you know, being the light. Like exactly what you're talking about right now, being that person. And my response to her was, I just mirrored what's already within you. And so, like, it's a mirror. It's the reminder of what's within you. And so often we pay attention to the negative mirrors outside of us, and we hyper focus on those because that's how personal development's become a bazillion-dollar industry, is because we want to believe we're bad. We want to believe we're broken. We want to believe that if we're not making millions, something's wrong with us. If we, you know, don't have 1 billion followers, then we're not working hard enough. And you know, I got stuck in that culture for quite a while, and I found like, probably not, like, at least for me, that is not a belief I carry anymore. I truly work every single day to be the hands, the feet, and the mouth for Jesus, and to continue to be the light and bring the light of truth that Jesus brought to us and that his disciples. And, you know, so it's interesting when we forget that we can only see in someone else what we have first seen in ourselves. So you may feel so dark and awful in that moment, and you see this, you know, cheery person that comes in and brightens your day. You only were able to see that because you were ready to begin to re-experience that within yourself. So, yeah, and that's like the reflection, like, it's this constant mirror that we're interacting with always, and the bodies might look different. Sometimes it's like a car, right? Like, or it's a cup of coffee that spills, or is too hot and burns you, or is just right and the most amazing coffee ever, right? Like, it's everything we're interacting with is truly a mirror of our internal state of being, and it gives us clues. Like, you know, you with the roller coaster was a mirror for your internal, what was going on and how you were processing things. And so you were able to, I don't want to say conquer it, because I don't believe in conquering fears, because I believe it's exposing them. It's like the monster under the bed, right? It's you don't conquer the monster. What happens is you turn on the damn light and realize there was never a freaking monster there to begin with.
Right.
Right? That's not killing the monster and slaying it. So that's like what you did with your, with the roller coasters, is you had this massive fear and you had an invitation, a weird one, right? Like one that it wasn't like forced. It was really an opportunity for you to accept the extension, to unwind an area that was like holding so many stories for you, and to help you, now you use it as an analogy to help you unwind other stories. Like, how beautiful. And probably other people do too. When you're sharing, they're probably like, oh, I can relate to that. And so it's this gift like that was provided to you. And I don't believe Jesus or God will ever force anything upon you. You could have very well, this could have not been a part of the path, but it was meant to be a part of the path. So as much resistance as you felt internally, you were always going to get your ass on that roller coaster.
Right.
Like the yellow brick road was laid, Ty. Like you needed to have this analogy. You needed to understand like your internal state. So it was like, God was like, here you go, girl. Like literally here is a physical thing that you can maybe somehow respond to and internalize and help you to unwind.
And I love that I get to help people. I have this unique thing happening right now where I am, my roller coaster. I keep trying to think of the best way to share the story because, we talked about that was 2023 that I got on that Thunderhead ride. And then in the summer of 2024, I had a moment where I realized kind of why. Like I had this moment where I had this day. It was June 30th of 2024, and it was a day when I had this photo shoot for my headshots for the Triumphs of Transformation book, and I was really excited and I felt like a princess, and I did my hair all pretty and I had different outfits, and I had my good friend Molly take the pictures, and I was just feeling like life was good. Like life was working. The good was happening. And then I learned that my oldest, dearest friend from college had died in a tragic fire with her 5-year-old daughter, dad, sister, and 2 of her other sister's kids. So all kinds of people passed in this fire the same day as I submitted my chapter for what would become a best-selling book. And when I talk about, I'm building this brand around, like, I'm calling it like the emo roller coaster gal, because, I am literally an emotional roller coaster. Like being in my world and in my life has just been all over the place, and never really knowing what's coming is common for all of us, but does just seem to be cranked up for me to some extent, where it's just like, there's just this like crazy, there's always tends to be this really good thing followed by a really bad thing, and sometimes it's the other way around, but like it's constant where it's just like really, really good or really, really bad. And I'm finding that I'm grounding myself in something that might not make sense with this roller coaster stuff. But what's really beautiful for me is that it's been so healing and restorative, and it's helped me shift my perspective and my mindset and everything around how I'm building my Unreal life from the ground up in a way now that I'm able, I've been trying for a year and a half. I've been dreaming of making content on social media that would potentially reach people, and they'd feel seen, or they'd feel like they too could heal this way if they chose to. And what's really neat is, I think this already, but like 2 million views or so in like just a matter of a couple weeks on my roller coaster content, synced of course to our Queen Taylor Swift, which is absolutely a huge part of why they're successful. It's because the music combined with the roller coaster and my experience doing the roller coasters combined with my love and passion and just knowledge and understanding of Taylor Swift's music has allowed me to sync these things into such a beautiful moment for people where they're like, maybe I could do a roller. Like I've had hundreds of people in the last 2 weeks actually reach out on DMs or in comments and say, I think this helped my fear. Like, I think I could do that. Like, I think I can. And I like, that is so cool to see something that I have worked on and worked through actually being able to remind people of, like you said, like that inner light that already exists in them. And, maybe they've always wanted to try it and they just needed that like last little push, but to be the person that gives them that last push to do something that they may hate it. Like they may just be like, nope, this isn't for me. And that's fine too. But that's not the point. The point is that they tried it finally. And they faced, that I don't like conquered the fear either, but they faced it and they rode along with it. And I think that's the thing that's what I've found to be the most rewarding and fulfilling part of all this, is that the fear doesn't go away. The fear is still very real and very much like a passenger on the ship, right? But you learn to work with it instead of trying to like resist or, go against it, which speaks to your, talk of surrender and such too. But I don't know. I don't even know. Have you ridden a roller coaster, Ashley? Do you like roller coasters?
Oh yeah, I used to love roller coasters. Not used, I mean, I still do, but I haven't been on one in forever.
Well, we're going to change that soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Quick invitation though, Ty, because
Yes.
I did notice this, and I'm wondering if this is why I felt called to reach out so that we could have this conversation, is it's already done. So I'm going to share something. There's a book I'm going to send you. I send it to like anyone literally who I interact with. I told Pat when I found the book, I was like, oh my God, I need $1 million. Like I need to send this to everybody in the world. And he's like, not everyone's going to have the same, but it's Theo of Golden.
Okay.
And so essentially, it's this older gentleman. He was an attorney and stuff, and he wrote this book, and it's really about truly seeing people. The book is, but the book is beside the point. His niece asked him, because she helped him self-publish it. And now, of course, a publisher got a hold of it 3 years later, and Oprah's gotten a hold of it, so we know what happens to it then. Yeah. But she said, how do I know I'm successful for you? Like, what's our measurement here? Like, how many books we sell, how much money we make, like if a publisher takes us up. And he's like, and I might butcher his words, but he's like, it already is. And she's like, well, what do you mean? He said, because I'm going to take this book when I die, and I'm going to bring it to Jesus, because that's who I wrote it for. So he was being the hands for Jesus. I think he thinks like he physically wrote it for Jesus, but he really just allowed Jesus to channel through him.
Right.
But he didn't care if one person read his book. It had already been done. So I invite you to be careful, because the ego will wrap your ass up. If all of a sudden tomorrow, no one, like let's say because I can feel where you're going based on business, like having some sort of roller coaster event and inviting people along and curating this amazing experience, which would be amazing. I'm not saying it's not.
Right.
But if you have wrapped your head around that it is a failure if no one shows up, you've lost the point.
Right.
The point has always been, Ty, for you to heal your mind. It literally talks about in the Bible. It literally talks about A Course in Miracles. All it takes is one to heal the whole sonship.
Right.
That's you. So it doesn't matter if 2 million people watch your shit. I mean, it's great. Like based on the world,
no.
great.
I know.
So
Yes.
great. But you've done it. You have followed the yellow brick road, and you're continuing to, I wouldn't even say allow fear a seat in your car, because I think that's risky. Because that means fear can grab the wheel whenever if he's still in your freaking car.
True enough. Yeah.
I would say you have told him to get the fuck out of the car.
True enough.
Like,
and
anytime he tries to break in, anytime he tries to break in, you're like, not today.
Well, I joked because I've been very vulnerable and transparent on the internet, and for years. Like this is not a new thing.
That's why we connected.
I know.
And stay connected.
Yes, exactly. So like one of the things that I jokingly posted, but I meant it on Instagram last early November, was a picture of me with a space at Six Flags called Forbidden Forest, and it was a part of the Fright Fest that they do at Six Flags, where they like
the Halloween
fear area, they scare you on purpose. I was like, I don't want to do those. I can't do it. But again, fear. So we went through this area where it sounds so silly, but they all have chainsaws, and none of them are real, and all of them make the noise like they're real, and none of them actually have the blade on them or anything, but it's intense and like physically you can feel it, and you feel these like vibrating chainsaws everywhere, and you have to like bravely walk through. And we did. I walked through with both my kids. My 10-year-old might be scarred for life. But my 12-year-old and I really bonded over this moment where we're like, we made it through. And then I said, like, I left fear behind. Like it sounds like a great like song lyric, but like I left fear behind at the Forbidden Forest, because that was a moment where I was like, proudly and bravely saying, like you said, like fear doesn't have a spot in the car because it can take the wheel and drive it off the road. Right. That's true. You're right. And I since then, I just think it's hard to say that there's no fear at all. Like, I feel like I'm just not letting fear be in charge. But I still feel that like that energy, right? Like that the like physical. But you
said earlier you found out they're the same.
Yes.
So like it's your choice. You know what I'm saying? Like it's to label, and it's not like it's a bad, like you can totally do that, but also know, and I think you know this, that any given moment you can decide, wait, that's not fear I'm feeling. Remember I learned like excitement can feel like, I'm going to switch it. I'm going to allow myself to move into excitement.
Yeah.
And I just share that because for me, I know like my journey and stuff, my journey, like yours, has so many quote unquote bad, like ACEs. You probably know the ACEs test because you did psychology. Like I scored like off the charts, like the highest I can. I've had divorce, death, suicide, like all the things in that. But to me, it's because I had so many opportunities to witness the stories getting in the way of the love of God. Because when I no longer feed into the fear, meaning make it real at all. Like, I'm not saying it doesn't come up. It's about how I handle it when that feeling arises. Do I make it real? Do I follow where it wants to take me? Do I allow it to encompass me? Or do I see it for what it is of like, here's another one of those stories coming up. And then for me, it's prayer, this constant communication with Jesus and God of like, here it is. Here it is. Here it is again. And then, allowing the love of God to come through. But I think so much I learned early on when I was just really, really deep into personal development was that the ego had a place. The ego keeps me alive, which is fear. Like I use those words interchangeably because the ego is what creates fear. Spirit is only joy, always only joy. It doesn't even know fear. And I was taught that. I was taught like that's what keeps you alive. You need to have the ego in your life. You need to have a sense of fear. And I'll be honest, like I have found that to not be true. I have found that like if I'm truly coming from a place of love, my actions will not represent something that would intentionally do something that's not a part of the yellow brick road. If that makes sense, right? Like, because I remember learning about the ego of like, oh, make sure you don't jump off a bridge, or, like that's some of the like layman things you're told when you're learning about it. But if I'm meant to jump off that bridge, if that is my yellow brick road, it doesn't matter if I sit in a place of fear about it or I just allow myself to trust that that's my yellow brick road and that I will always be held. And so to me, that is the difference of you're not just going to go willy-nilly jump off the bridge that you weren't going to jump off of anyway if you didn't have fear. Right.
Well,
I don't know.
I want to go back to what you said about the power of one, because it's legitimate, and I think people forget that, if they forget how important it is to have. I mean, I feel that way, and I appreciate you kind of like redirecting me that way, because I was very sick. Like I was very sick. I was diagnosed at 35 years old with cirrhosis and was told then that I needed a liver transplant soon. And the doctors, the scariest part was it was all happening during COVID, and the doctors, my husband wasn't really allowed to come visit for, I think it was like an hour at a time, and he had to like gear up with like PPE and all that stuff. It was terrible. But the hardest part was the doctors kind of treated me like they were surprised that I had any cognitive ability at all, based on how bad my blood work was. So my blood work was bad enough that the fact that I could remember what I ate for breakfast that day was surprising to them. So knowing that and kind of bouncing forward very much from that, now I have by blood markers, a very healthy liver, and I've lost about 80 pounds and 20 inches off my waist alone. And I'm sure other spots too. I don't know I haven't really measured there. But the point is, I have healed myself. And now, I said, I don't know if I taped the moment or not with Tiffany Jenkins, but she really liked it when I said it. So I'll say it again, which is that I'm done trying to chase a miracle. And now I'm ready to finally be the miracle. And so that recognizes what you said. And I appreciate the direction on that, because it's true that I'm the one for me. And I see and I feel this calling from God on my heart, on my soul. And I feel it with like every part of my being, that miracle that I have become is meant to help one person. Like it's meant to help, like literally. And if it does help one person, it's worth it. So like, we talked about like, millions of views or whatever. That's great. And it's fun. And yeah, is it a dopamine hit? Yes.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
for sure. But also like when these people are saying these things about like, oh, you know what, maybe I will actually try this, or, I felt, and when I have an opportunity to make someone feel like they're not alone and feel seen, like that too is just a magical for me, and feels like the living, breathing purpose that I'm meant to do in this world, because I've been given this gift of feeling like my life is a miracle. Like I fought against all odds technically to even be here. And that's very special. So, I think a lot of people, would see my life and my journey and my social media, and they'd be like, does she sleep? And the answer is no, I don't. I'm running on like 2 hours today, because I was very, very, Ashley knows, but I was very blessed and excited to be jumping for a solid hour and a half to Yellow Card at the Barricade last night in Milwaukee. They had a show. And I manifested that for a year plus, and I made it happen. I got to the Barricade and it was amazing. But, the point is, I do believe that I have this purpose that's been placed on my heart. And it happened when you said that constant communication with God. That's been this incredible gift that's happened for me, because in January of 2025, I had this horrible work thing happen that I try not to talk too much about. And that led me down a path of like literally being on my knees and praying. I never in my life have I been on my knees in prayer, but I was on my knees in prayer, and everything since that day has felt divine and guided. And I know it's not because I wasn't guided before. It's just because I wasn't seeing it, or I wasn't surrendering, or I wasn't paying attention, or whatever the reasons were. I just wasn't, it didn't it still doesn't make sense. A lot of the times, and a lot of what I do still doesn't make sense to me, but I know it makes sense to him. And like another goofy example, I talked about Yellow Card. A goofy example is they had their first number one single called Better Days happened right before the radio station in my town turned from being a alternative rock station to being a Christian station. So it went from being rock, 1021 to Air One. And I was so angry. I was like, don't you take my punk rock music away from me, and swap it for Jesus music. I am so grateful, Ashley. I feel like, it was a gift that was meant for just me. Like, and I know that that's not true. Because
no, it is. No, live that way, please. If you only take everybody. One thing from our conversation, but you are everyone. If we're all connected, you are everyone, right? So it was literally meant for you. I'm so happy.
It was meant for me. So the timing was crazy, because I was listening and I was so excited for my Yellow Card getting their number one single, and then literally like a couple weeks later, it changed to Air One. And ever since it's been Air One, it's always on in the car. And I always, the music, and I don't want to cry, but like the music and the timing, it's like he's talking right to my heart.
Yeah.
Like literally every single, and I'm getting chills even saying this because it's just
Me
been
too,
so
I know.
true. Every single, you know, of course there's the songs that you hear on repeat and there's several, but like last week even I was in pickup line and I and again it goes to the art of noticing, but I got to school for pickup, which I've done hundreds of times, right? Like so many times. And but I got to school for pickup and the sun was shining and I had my windows down and the perfect songs were playing on Air One. And the group of middle school kids that like my kids are in, they're in those grades, jumping up and down, like so happy to see me, jumping up and down, waving, shouting, the whole thing. And it was like a whole group of them, like probably like at least 20.
Groupies, Ty.
Right, literal groupies at the Zion Evangelical Lutheran School. But it made my heart so happy, and I felt like, but I just felt God's presence so strongly in that time, like in that moment. I was just like, "Thank you, Jesus!" Like it was this amazing thing that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't like kept an open mind and actually like just handed, because I honestly did, like that day on my knees, I was like, Lord, you got this. Like I am done. I'm done I'm done. You got it. I know you got it. I know you've had it this whole dang time, but like I'm ready to finally just like breathe.
Be okay with it, right? Because like Ty was never in control. I mean, Ashley thought she was in control too, but like we never
ever.
Yeah.
And isn't that magical? Like, that's the thing. Like, I think people would be like, well, that sounds awful not being in control.
Yeah, because we're so used to, like, this free will thing that I brought up earlier, right? And I said with Prickle, and we believe, like, oh, my God, I can manifest my dreams. I can make millions of dollars. But it's like, the problem with that, like, I used to talk about this early on when I started to shift to spiritual development from personal development. The great manifestation teachers out there can create so much shame and guilt, and they're not intentionally doing it, but let's say you sign up for, Gabby Bernstein's 21 days or Manifestation Babe, and you spend all this money and everybody else in the group is manifesting their things and you're not. Like, do you know that feels awful? And it's not because you're bad or not doing things right. And it's not because they're good in doing things right. It just so happens that the things aligned. They felt they wanted this, and that's exactly what was coming. They didn't make it happen. God made it happen. Like earlier you said, you manifested the front row. What I really think it is, Ty, is you're lifting the veil. You're getting more in touch with truth, and maybe you have little understandings of what's coming later in your yellow brick road, but the ego wants you to believe that you're laying the path. You manifested that front row when really Ty just knew it was coming, and so she surrendered to it, right? You surrendered to every single moment that led you there. And so for me, I always have to like put my ego back in check of like, I didn't do any of this shit. I mean, I did, but I didn't in some aspects. But it's like just this whole shift, like you said, and it's so freeing when you can get past the damn ego, because that means if I'm not in charge, I'm truly can be the child of God I was told I was. Like I can legit be a child. Like think of your kids and, you picked them up from school. They knew Ty was going to be there, right? Like because she shows up. Could you imagine if like all of a sudden today, I don't have gas money, but I need to get somewhere. If God truly is like, you need to get, I promise you, he will make sure I have gas money. Just like, I promise you, Ty, you showed up to pick up your kids from school. Like you get to live like it is just like, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's moments where Ashley thinks she's back in charge again.
Right.
But when I can really sink into that, it's just like everything feels like it's aligning, but it, like you said, always has been. I just forgot to like pay attention to that. The miracle. I love what you said to Taylor Jenkins. No, that's the author. But
Tiffany Jenkins.
Tiffany Jenkins, sorry.
Yeah, like about being the miracle.
Yeah. Instead, it's like, it's not even just, it's not becoming. I'm gonna help you maybe change the word here if you choose to. But remember, you already are.
Right.
Like, not become, you are, Ty. You have been. It's just like you said earlier when you pulled up to the school. You just forgot.
Yeah.
You forgot to, like, allow yourself to accept that and to be like, holy fucking shit.
Well,
Wow.
but doesn't, okay, hear me out, because here's the thing. Satan is a jerk, because I feel like you need to understand when he's attacking that, because and it happens in a lot of ways. I think it happens a lot when, I don't know that it's ego, but it's like when I'm trying to think of how to word this in a way that's politically correct. And
No, we're not politically correct. No,
well,
just
but
share it.
I keeps me from getting out of trouble, because there's certain things that I can't say. But the thing is that there's humans that make things harder, and there's humans that can get in your head. And when I say Satan, I know it's the devil's work, right? Like it's his work to keep you off, get you off track, and to get you back in your own ego. It's hard, and I'm curious if, like, and for people that watch and listen, like, how you work through feeling unworthy, or how you work through feeling like you're not enough or not worthy of calling yourself a miracle. Like, that's the struggle. And that was beyond fear. That was the next thing because that came first, right? Understanding that I was worthy of following this path, and knowing that I was following this path, right? I was, the fear part came later. The worthiness part was a huge issue, because feeling like you're not enough, and being told or being treated or being in situations where you feel like your words don't matter, your story doesn't matter, or your experience, you haven't done enough of the reps yet. You're not experienced enough to do that yet. Like no, Ty, like but it happens to everybody at some level, where there's the people and the toxic narcissistic relationships in your life that can really come at you. So my question, I guess, not to, or my, like, you, I love your way of saying invitation. My invitation for you would be, like, I'm curious how you've worked through the worthiness mountain, if you will, and deciding that, like, no, Ashley, Ashley's worth it.
Yeah. Did you ever watch The Chosen?
A long time ago.
Okay. Well, you know the story of Mary, right?
Yep.
So, when the way the Chosen depicts it is that before Mary ever meets Jesus, she's possessed, right? Like, the devil, Satan, possesses her, and they call, like, she throws shit. I'm like literally picturing how the Chosen depicts it, but she throws shit, she breaks shit. They have to call in a rabbi to try to rectify her, and it doesn't really work. And she kind of moves in and out of these phases, right? And then all of a sudden comes Jesus, and she's at the bar or whatever, and she comes out, and he grabs her face, and he calls her by her name of Mary. I can't remember what they called her before. Whatever. But, like, he literally, what he does is he sees her for truth. He does not see her as possessed. He does not see Satan in her.
Right.
Because Satan doesn't actually exist in the form of an external being. Satan is a perception you have, I believe. And that is what contains fear. That is your ego. That is anything that is not love and joy. That is anything that separates you from another human. That is anything that brings up the unworthiness. So Mary, she's great, right? She's like doing great with Jesus. She's saved. Oh my gosh, she's saved. Then what happens? She goes back out. She goes back out and she fucks around and does all the bad stuff again. And they have to go pull her out. And she, again, depiction of The Chosen. So if you want, I would invite you to go watch it again, because it's just like so real. She comes back and she is so filled with shame and guilt, Ty, because the devil got her.
Yeah.
Right? She had been saved by Jesus, God's only son.
Yeah.
And now the devil has gotten her. And she comes back to his tent and he's already like, they made him really dramatic and tired and whatever in his tent. So we're thinking like she's a burden, right? Here comes Mary, the bird. Like that's the depiction that Dallas did an amazing job and his wife of. And he comes up to her and she wants to begin to explain what happened and that she's unworthy, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
What does he do? He shuts it down and he hugs her and he reminds her of what she truly is.
Yeah.
So, everybody outside of you is a reminder of the barriers to the love of God. So you know that you are loved. You are pure Christ light within you, Ty.
Amen.
The problem is, amen, hallelujah.
Yeah.
The problem is we have all these stories that are in the way. And so when all of a sudden we seemingly interact with someone who appears to be narcissistic, they're a mirror of the story that we're holding on to within that is blocking us from the light of God. And the ego wants us to blame them because if we blame them, we hold on to that story and we keep ourselves blocked from the love, right? Because that's why Jesus didn't let Mary explain anything because he's like, nah, we're not making this real here, friend. Come on, homegirl. We're like, this isn't real. And I want you to know that you are wholly perfect as you are. So when I interact, like, let's Patrick, my partner, right? Like he's like I have a mirror in my freaking pocket all the time, right? So see, just like you do, you have little ones, you have little mirrors called children, you have a big mirror called your, partner. And so when they piss you off, when they upset you and you think they did something bad or unfavorable or they hurt you, that's your story projecting out in them. And it's an opportunity for you to forgive that. Not forgive what they did, like I agree with what you did, but forgive them what they didn't do. Because it's just your mirror. You're only seeing what you already believe within yourself.
Yeah.
And so I know that was a very long explanation to the worthiness thing. So is Ashley 100% believing she's worthy of the love of God? No, I would be enlightened and I wouldn't be here anymore. I would remember where I really am, which is in the house of God. But do I spend more time there than I did before? Yes. And do I have I have Lighthouse, my mastermind, and one of the women in there, Julie, she coined the term PQT. And it's pretty quick turnaround. So we no longer measure success by no longer experiencing these moments of discomfort. But how quick can we bring our awareness to what it really is? That it's not the person outside of us. It's a story coming up within us. And we have the opportunity to go into prayer, to really ask ourselves, is this really what I want in this moment? And this is also not like, oh, you should be in abusive relationships and you shouldn't walk away. Like, we're human. Like you said earlier, at the core, we're a human.
Yeah.
And so, yes, by all means, follow your humanly rules of like walk away, break off that relationship, but know what it's really about.
Right.
Know that it's an opportunity for you to see, you said earlier, nothing is happening to you.
Right.
And then I shifted to everything is happening for you. But where I've shifted now is everything's happening through you.
Mm-hmm. For him, with him, through him. Absolutely.
Yes. So that's what's trying to happen. Like God is trying to move through you. Mm-hmm. And when there's a blockade, a little rock in the way, it may appear as an asshole person. And so it's for real. Or like someone cuts you off in traffic or whatever it may be. And so it's an opportunity to bring the rock in and have it block you from the love of God still and say, oh, that person's an asshole. Or for you to see it like, there's a story I still believe that's blocking me from my true worth, which is a true child of God that is like you love your children, Ty.
Yeah.
Right? Like unconditional means unconditional. Like there can't be rules on unconditional. Otherwise it negates the definition.
Yeah.
So I don't know. How does that land? Is it just like, that's fucked up?
No, I think, a lot of what we're talking about makes a lot of sense to me. And then I think back on how hard I've had to work to get here in my own head. I've had to get out of my own way. I had to handle the difficult people. I had to work through, I had to go through the health struggles, and now I'm here, and I'm very grateful for all of it. On my podcast, Quick Before You Forget, I have talked with about 40 now amazing humans, and I've asked most of them one question. There's a handful of questions that I've asked most of them, but one of them is what they would tell their 22-year-old self if they could. And what's fascinating to me is that all these people from all these different walks of life and all of the, different experiences that they've had in their different worlds, because all of them have had like incredibly different lives. More of them than not have said they wouldn't change anything, and that they were very grateful for everything that got them to where they were today. And that right there is the epitome of a good reminder to everything you just said, which is that all those little moments that feel like somebody is in your way or whatever, it's stuff that you have to work through in you. It's absolutely stuff that you have
Bring
to
it
work
back
through.
home.
Yeah, literally. And the only place you have any real authority over, right? Which is like your heart and trusting. And so, I think my encouragement for people would be to not be afraid to look inner. It's not to be afraid to like do that hard work, because it is hard. And one of the ways that I've worked through some of that is like through Kayla Shaheen's shadow work journal, and she's got a few different kinds of the journals, but it gives you an opportunity to reflect on the duality, like you said, of like, we exist with our light and our shadow, and we live with both. But God is working obviously through the light always, and that light is contagious and meant to shine bright and be that mirror or that reflector for other people. So I do think you landed well. I just wanted to I guess offer encouragement for people, and understanding and recognizing that it's hard. Like it's not an easy, we talk about it being freeing, and it is very freeing. And the surrender of understanding that I've come to in the last year and a half has been incredibly liberating. And everything leading to here, and even since that, has been work that I've needed to do. So to reflect that and to make it sound like it's some kind of like, it does require a level of self-awareness, obviously, but then just working through the hard stuff that people kind of tend to avoid.
Yeah. Well, and I'm a firm believer that whatever you're hearing is exactly what you're meant to hear, no matter if it's prickling or, whatever, because prickle is movement, right? Mm-hmm. So like if it's irritating a person hearing this, or feeling frustrating or overwhelming, that's movement of those rocks coming up. And the biggest thing so I use A Course in Miracles as essentially my guide to completely unwinding the mind, and to remember the truth that is the love of God. And, it's a practice. It's a practice that you come back to, but it's super simple, but it's not always easy, right? Like it's so simple and that's why when we have these conversations, it can get frustrating, because it always comes back to like, just hand the damn thing over, right? Bring awareness, hand it over, right. Bring it awareness, hand it over, bring it awareness, hand it over. And it's literally that simple. You don't need a special class. You don't need none of any of this. Yes, there's things that might be helpful on your journey, but technically there is only one magic formula, and that's like, hand it over, hand it over every single time. And so, I feel like if anyone's listening and you're feeling frustrated or irritated, yes, we want this.
Right.
Like, cause I think for you and for me, we had to get to, I feel like as humans living in an ego world, when we are fully in the ego and not witnessing the miracles, we're only witnessing the chaos and the, the high highs and the low lows. It takes a moment like that of pure frustration. Like, there has got to be another way. And you only get there from being frustrated, being irritated, and then is when you're really ready to listen. You're really ready to hear what's coming next. And for some people, it's, an NDE experience. Lots of people, like, near death is like a moment. And I mean, I know we're coming up on the hour and we could go forever because, like, Ty, so many cool things. Like, you don't know about me, but when I was 18, I was put on a transplant list for my liver. I was read my last rites because they weren't going to get me a transplant quick enough. So very much.
I did not know that, Ashley.
Yeah.
Good night. How are you now? Like, goodness.
Oh, it's great. Like 2 years. I think after 2 years, I no longer didn't have to have my enzymes read anymore because my liver healed itself. But
thank God.
I think we have so many things.
That's amazing. That's a miracle too, because the liver is healing, right? But
but not when it's at a small percent, and that's probably where it needs like 10% to heal itself. And mine was at like 3, and yours probably was somewhere lower than that, or what?
I don't know.
Yeah,
the mouth score was high. That's all I know. But I did not know that. Thank you for sharing that. We are close to, I don't know if we want to keep talking.
I mean, I'm down. Like, if you have more time, like, I always have time.
I do, because now I want to know. Because, like, I talked about my life and my hard stuff, and you didn't talk about yours. Tell me more about yours.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's like, typical hard stuff. Like, the earth, the things that teased throughout school. I was just recently talking to, I'm not going to say how I know them, someone close to me. And they're really struggling with how they were teased growing up, and now it's impacting them in adulthood. And again, it's a mirror, right? It's such a mirror, and it's even come up later in life because I was super bullied. They wrote like about me on desks and stuff about like, Ashley looks like a little boy. She's flat chested. She probably doesn't have hair in her crotch. Like, all the puberty things. Yeah. And so I think when I graduated high school, it was like 95 pounds soaking wet. So I was pretty tiny, and it was like 5'6", 5'7". And I've witnessed how those stories have continued to come up in my adulthood. So I noticed, if you look at the trajectory until probably the last couple of years, I would have these moments of like weight gain and then significant weight loss, weight gains. And I would always get to the point of where I was pretty skinny. And I think what happened was that story would come back in of, back then, because I never actually saw it for what it was. I thought it was these assholes that treated me bad, instead of seeing it as like, that's a story I've been carrying. It used to show up as people bullying me. Now it's showing up as me as soon as I get to a certain weight, eating a shit ton of food and making sure I don't, so you start to see that. So bullying was big. My father committed suicide when I was 18. You talked about earlier, you've written in a couple co-authored books. I know the Triumphs one, I've seen you share that, but I've written in three different books as well. And I would say they really encompass my journey. Like, the first one is a lot about my own mental health. Like, I was diagnosed with bipolar when I was young, and that my liver transplant was ultimately a result of a suicide attempt with medications, a significant amount. And then the next chapter is really about, it's a letter to my dad, actually, because he committed suicide and he had mental health, and how I was changing the script. And then the final chapter I wrote was shortly after I met Patrick, in the realization that I was still in personal development, and it was this realization that I had to learn to love myself before I could love anyone else. But now where I'm at in spiritual development is like, I couldn't see the mirror, right? I couldn't see the mirror because I was not allowing myself to be the mirror for love. So yeah.
That's beautiful. Hello. I didn't see me snapping. I was doing
you were
snappies. Because yes, you have to. And here's the thing: God's love is so powerful when you let that rule your heart, right? And you need to love on you, and that self-love part of things First of all, thank you for sharing all that with me.
Yeah.
It's been a minute since we chatted, so some of that was familiar, and I just needed reminding. And I appreciate you sharing and opening up.
Yeah.
And the takeaway though was so beautiful with what you said about the self-love and how important it is. And it reminds me of like a full circle story with you, where I think it was actually at Rise Business where Rachel shared that illustration of like a vase, and how like if you have a vase with, water in it and you keep trying to pour that water into other vases, it's going to fall, it's going to break, it's going to run dry, it's going to be empty. It could have shattered in 1,000 pieces on the ground. But if you just stand tall and let the world and God, primarily God, pour into you, right, it overflows. And it's this beautiful thing. But you need to do that. And
that's why it only takes one, right?
Right.
Like I said earlier, like it's the same concept of like all you got to do is do your own work, and then you'll overflow.
Right. Exactly. And that's the gift. Honestly, like that's the gift for yourself. That's the gift from above. That's the gift for the world around you. That is the light.
Everyone.
It's the literal light from the lighthouse.
The light between us.
That's what I'm saying, girl. I'm tying it all together for us. It's
You're
the
so
light
good.
between us.
I love it. I love your like you are really, like anyone tuning in, you have amazing interviews on your podcast, and I can totally feel it come into this. Like you're just like have this natural ability. So it's such an honor.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for the time with you, and I'd be happy to come back and chat more anytime.
Yes, I absolutely love it. And I love our conversations, and that's all this really is just a conversation. And I'd be curious, like, what comes up for you or for me afterwards, because, this was not, Ty didn't schedule this. Ashley didn't schedule this. This was divinely guided. And so there's some sort of divinity that I believe we will garner from it.
We already did. Ashley.
I mean, we already did. You're
happening in real time.
It's happening because that's all we have is the present moment, right? Like Eckhart Tolle, he's amazing with his be here now. And it's not about manifesting for the future. It's about like, literally, let's just be here now all the time.
Yes. And that's hard too sometimes.
So all the time.
Yeah, all the time, especially when the world is crazier by the day. But we do what we can to stay present, and they call it a gift for a reason.
Yeah. What's the sign behind you? It says your hope, your prayer, your song.
Oh, yes.
Well, your dream. Other side. Yeah, right there.
It's a record, and it's painted with, it says dream your dream, hope your hope, pray your prayer. Or there is no prayer on that one. Yeah, pray your prayer.
Yeah, it says prayer.
Sing your song, dream your dream, and hope your hope. Yeah. Hope was my word in 2025 when life flipped upside down for me. I chose the word before life flipped upside down, and it ended up being the perfect word. But I bought that because of the word hope being on there, and then the typewriter says hope is power. But everything behind me is curated because it all means something very close and near and dear to my heart. So thank you for asking. I've hosted 40 people, and there was one person that thought it was like like an alien, like a spaceship. Like is that a UFO? Did you have a UFO behind you? I was like, no, it's not a UFO. I love music. So my podcast, focuses on how music, mindset, and movement have helped me rebuild my unreal life from the ground up. And I love how
it's an unreal life, because it truly is unreal.
It is. Amen.
Yeah. I love it.
And it's all God's plan. I started talking that way when my son was born 16 months. My second son was born 16 months after my first son. And that's when I first started saying, like, that was God's plan, not my plan. Because 202 was rough. But they were such a blessing, and I wouldn't change it. So anyway.
Yeah. So much. I just have to show you so that's my, like that. Oh, but I'm better. Maybe I should have had it like that. But anyway, that's my background. So with our thrifting, some of them are free. They're my favorite finds. But we noticed, so I just put it up, and we just know. That's okay. We noticed that literally all religions are actually represented on this, and I did not intentionally do that. These were just things I felt called to. So the book thing that's open is actually a holder for the Quran, so that covers Islam. Not that I purposely did, I just loved the holder. The book in there is actually A Course in Miracles. which is not a religion, but it encompasses all of Jesus's teachings. And so, of course, you know the guy up there, that's Brother Jay, Jesus. And here he is like looking at his people. And then the Last Supper. So that covers Christianity and Judaism, because supposedly Jesus was born as a Jewish, and then later just did his own thing. But then see that vessel? Oops. Right there. So that's a holy vessel. So we came across that. It's from the Ganges River and another river. I don't know a ton about it. I'm waiting to take it to a museum to find out. But they would go get water and they would pray. And it's Hinduism. So that's Hinduism covered there. And then the flower I got from my dear friend Julie actually recently. And it's a marigold. In Buddhism, every day the marigold is an offering. And it's the reminder of presence and so many beautiful things. So yeah, that's like my Pat says, I think a shrine. But those are my favorite finds. It's not meant to be a shrine. And then we have like our little bird. And do you have these? Like, I hand these out all the time. My friend Drew.
I don't have them handy. We just did that at Six Flags the other day. We put them out around we had little duckies too, like little yellow ducks. Yeah, so we put the little yellow ducks and about a dozen Jesuses right around where sorry about that. We're right around where the Batman ride is. So if there's any still there, go find them. But
I love that.
Yeah, my kids love it too, and they say Jesus loves you on them, and they're so cute.
I know. And then my friend, she found somewhere there, like he's like has his hands out or he's holding a Bible. You know, like there's ones where he's doing all different things, and so yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Well, my dear friend, thank you so much. Anybody tuning in, I will have all the links for you to connect with Ty, check out her podcast, any of her upcoming things. Like, it sounds like there might be a roller coaster thing in the works, but
it's a memoir called Emo Roller Coaster Gal. It's in the works, and so yeah, that's exciting. But thank you for having me.
I'll be one of your first if you need someone to read it.
I would love you to read it. Absolutely.
I would love to. I'd be honored. Okay. I love you so very much, dear friend, and we will stop it here for our friends. Bye. Thank you, everyone.